Hello, today Sir Peter Bottomley, who's a Conservative MP and has been in Parliament for a long time, has come out about problems with religious education in schools. And I'm afraid, in some ways, I agree there is a problem. I don't agree with his solution or indeed with his full analysis. He says that religion provides great joy and comfort in times of great joy or indeed of grief. I don't think that teaching children in schools about religion is necessarily a way of encouraging that. I don't think that's really the role. I don't think that's the job of religious education in schools. That's the job of religions. And in an age when religion is retreating in so many ways, that is another subject to address. In schools, we've seen a diminution, a reduction in religious education. Although there is often a form of religious assembly in schools, most of the time, 500 schools record no RE education after year 11, probably greater than 500 schools. RE at GCSE has risen significantly, but if you look, or indeed teach, as I have done, RE at GCSE, you'll find that much of it has degenerated into the subject of philosophy and ethics. Perfectly reasonable, but it's not quite religious studies or religious education. In A-level, sometimes this is a little bit more of the same, or indeed it involves a little bit of a sort of cursory element of comparative religion. So the days when students were routinely studying religious texts seem to have disappeared. They are often on some of the syllabuses, they're rarely chosen. The easier option is indeed for philosophy and ethics, and it can get a bit vague and woolly. It looks like an easy choice. I promise you, if you're going to choose this for GCSEs or A-levels, it's going to be much harder to get a decent grade. It is a neglected subject. It's got a misunderstood purpose. And Bottomley is right that it leaves a gaping hole in the curriculum. Now, I think the real problem with religious studies is that people have forgotten what it's supposed to be doing. It's supposed to be educating and forging an understanding of our religious culture. And that is indeed our culture. We cannot understand Shakespeare without a basic understanding of religion, and particularly of Christianity. I speak to many children, and I am appalled that many children have no inkling of the difference between Roman Catholicism, Orthodoxy, and Protestantism, for example. That they also don't have a clear understanding there are different forms of Judaism, or indeed what Judaism is, or different forms of Islam. In a world which is beset by religious bigotry, I think it is appalling that we are not equipping our children with a clear knowledge of what these three main religions believe and how they have manifested, and their cultures. I think it's appalling that we also don't fully teach about atheism and what this means. Even if we are defining atheism, as Jonathan Miller would have said, by something that atheists don't believe in. Atheist, someone who does not believe in God. As Jonathan Miller rather brilliantly put it, I don't define myself in relation to my non-belief in fairies. Why would I define myself in relation to my non-belief in God? The church can be seen as a refuge in times of crisis. And I think it's good that we can identify that, the church, the synagogue, the mosque. But I think it's more important that we let children know at all levels of the role that it has played, or the role religion has played in defining our modern culture. And if we neglect if we neglect this in an age of indifference and glamour, then we do so at our peril. And we see children targeting celebrities and soccer players as their saints and mentors. And then we look to the government to control our morals when many ministers are morally incontinent, as they always have been. Nothing new there, except there is little expectation or direction from elsewhere, and little knowledge that would even be available. Most children have little awareness of our religious backgrounds, which actually are all over our landscape. Our cities are defined by our religious buildings. And we as teachers, I think, have a duty to point them out and point out their purpose, and their purpose in defining our history and what they can do for our future. Nothing to do with converting people to any belief, simply to do with giving them the information so that they can approach John Donne, Milton, so that they will know that the religious involvement in the development of science, astronomy, all the wonders that we take for granted today in today's education, so many of these wonders have their origins in religion, right down to the numerals that we use in mathematics, for which we must thank the Caliphate of Baghdad in the early centuries of Islam, that had the wisdom to send out to India and to Greece to collect books and translate them into a common language that was Arabic. And through that, the Arabic translations of Plato and Aristotle percolated up through Spain to fortify and ignite the Renaissance, the early Renaissance, which gives us Aquinas, and the later Renaissance that gives us Michelangelo and Raphael and indeed Galileo. So we have lots to be thankful. We must look upon religion with thanks and rather than indifference, and we should be teaching it significantly better than we are.